Hello, this is Boom Jackal. So basically, this flight, I just take a Kerbal, and then I have him stand on a Clydesdale rocket booster, and then I ignite the booster. It's not technically one part because the rest of the low launcher assembly is like 6 parts, but like I mean, for the challenge itself, it's one part to space, right? So I mean, it just makes sense because nothing else actually does anything besides just hold it. Yeah, anyway. So this took quite a few tries. I mean, you got to get the Kerbal centered on the rocket booster. If he's not centered perfectly, as he starts to go faster, the drag from the air rushing past will start to push him off the booster. And then as he goes off the side of the booster, his drag will start to pull the booster off to the side, and that makes it even worse. You can kind of like adjust it at the beginning so that the booster starts to get you into a gravity turn, and that'll give you a better orbit for some specific applications. But for this run, I'm just trying to go straight out of Kerbin's orbit and raise my apoapsis in the solar orbit as high as possible. That'll let me use less of the Kerbal's fuel when I'm trying to get to Duna. So we're just passing around 20,000 meters. I had to set the thrust limiter on the rocket really low because if it was any higher, the Kerbal would start to overheat in the atmosphere and explode. As you can see, the rocket itself is getting pretty hot. Although I think that's mostly due to the burning of the rocket instead of the air resistance. I like how the Kerbal can just be in direct contact with a red-hot rocket and not take any damage. So yeah, as we get into space, the rocket still has quite a bit of fuel left. So right now we're just burning as much as possible to gain as much speed as possible. To be honest, the rocket did kind of go off course a little bit, but it's not a huge deal, so I mean, whatever. I kind of wanted it to actually go the other way a little bit more. I probably would have been able to get us straight to Duna without having to use the EVA pack. But I've already spent so many attempts just to get this thing lined up without going off course that I'm just like, whatever. So right now, I'm going to use the Kerbal to raise the apoapsis above Duna's so that I can get some more control over the, I don't know, like, just trying to get the Kerbal to be able to line up with Duna better. And since you can't really use orbital nodes in the map view, I had to do this all by eye. And to be honest, I'm not super experienced with KSP to like know all of the orbital mechanics stuff. So what's going to happen is this Kerbal is going to start on year 0, and he's going to orbit for 8 years before getting to Duna, because it's just how many times it's going to take to for him to orbit for it to line up perfectly. And even when I did get it to line up, the first couple attempts, I didn't actually have enough fuel, so I had to go back to a quick save where I was at the apoapsis so that I could lower my periapsis a bit, so I could get the Kerbal to go up a bit faster. I'm just gonna skip ahead a bit. No one wants to watch me, time warp for like an hour. It's kind of funny. This is a very inefficient, like, actual run because it took like almost 9 years to get a Kerbal to Duna. And I'm sure you could have done it faster if you were more experienced in the game. But to be honest, I've only really been using KSP to make aircraft and tanks and stuff for the past like 4 years. And I've never really bothered to explore many of the planets. I mean, I've gone to Duna before, but I've never like really tried to do any like challenges based in space. So anyway, yeah, this should be pretty soon. Right now, this section, I get into Duna's sphere of influence. I realized after a couple of tries that the periapsis being at 5,000 meters is way too low. So I just kind of did trial and error using quick saves and just save files in general in order to get the periapsis at the right altitude. So after a while, I chose 38,000, I think, 38,000 meters. 40,000 wasn't quite enough drag to get the Kerbal captured into the Duna's orbit. And anything lower than 38,000, just the Kerbal just exploded. And here we have it, the final attempt. I got the periapsis down to 38,000, which was just the sweet spot to prevent the Kerbal from exploding. He got pretty warm. I don't actually know exactly how hot he got, but I mean, apparently it was cold enough, like lower than 800 degrees Kelvin. The drag at this low altitude was enough to get us into a little good orbit. We almost got into a moon intercept, which would have been kind of funny, but I really don't want that because my Kerbal's pretty much out of fuel. So now I'm just going to let him aerobrake down. Unfortunately, he's landing in the dark side of Duna, which is kind of annoying, but whatever. And yeah, so he just ran out of fuel right now. I deployed the parachute, and yeah, I never actually landed a Kerbal on Duna without like a rocket, and I didn't know if parachutes worked, so I just hit the min pressure all the way down, and then set the altitude all the way to the max just to give him enough time to deaccelerate if the atmosphere was too slow. But it turned out that wasn't a problem because he slowed down pretty quick, and it's kind of weird how he went really slow there for a second, but I mean whatever. Yeah, plant flag and done.